You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And today, the Giants waste another dominant Logan Webb start by failing to give him the necessary run support. Stop me if you've heard this before. Giants lose 6-2 to the absolutely terrible Chicago White Sox. With the loss, they failed to complete the sweep against the worst team in all of baseball, and the Giants have failed to win these types of games all season long. And let me tell you, playoff teams just don't lose these types of games to teams like the Chicago White Sox at this point in the season. The bullpen, which has been so good all month long, got roughed up in the ninth, and the Giants just couldn't respond offensively. A tough loss for this team, which now begins an extremely rough stretch of the schedule from now through the end of the season. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're tuning in, we appreciate it. And make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaswick does a great job. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. This one started out with Logan Webb giving up a run in that first inning, as he normally does. Lopez hit a leadoff triple, first batter of the game. Benintendi ground ball and eventually scored him in that inning, gave the White Sox an early 1-0 lead. And I mean, Logan Webb then gave up another run in the top of the fourth. Robert, a leadoff double, then a deep flyout advanced him to third base, and then a Vaughn sac fly scored him. So really for Webb, these two runs that he gave up were both, I mean, he gave up two extra base hits, and then the White Sox had some productive outs to score these runs. Logan Webb was utterly dominant today. It was another start, I mean, dating back to the end of last month, the last day of last month, July 31st. He has had now 4 consecutive starts where he has given up 2 runs or less. Today's start was the most runs he's given up this month in any start, which is insane. His last 4 starts go 9 innings. That was the complete game shutout against the A's on the 31st. Then he came back on August 5th against the Nationals, gave up 1 run over 5 2/3. Then against the Tigers on August 10th, 7 innings of 1-run ball. And then against the Braves last time out on the 15th, he gave up no runs over 7 2/3 innings pitched. So Logan Webb has been on an unreal tear as of lately, and he continued to do that today. The one thing that was different about today's start than those prior 4 was the Giants won those games. They didn't give him any run support in this one, and it was tough because, again, it came with the Giants going just 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position, grounding in to a ton of double plays, or just 1 double play, actually, Ramos today, but leaving a lot of runners on, left 4 runners on base, leaving runners in scoring position on with 2 outs. I mean, this team has been so bad at situational hitting. This is nothing new, and it seems like it's exponentially worse when Logan Webb is on the mound. For whatever reason, this has just been how his career has gone. I mean, we talk about him getting Matt Cain'd a lot of the time. It's just how Matt Cain's career went too. Sometimes it just, luck happens like that with certain guys, and Logan Webb seems to have that bad luck cloud following him around of not being able to get runs, and I don't know why. I don't think there's really a reasoning for it. This offense needs to start giving this guy some run support, though. Just absolutely terrible. The Giants did manage to get a couple runs in the bottom of the 4th. They had a little rally. It started with a Mark Canha leadoff double, Ramos double, almost a home run, but Robert got a glove on it and brought it back in to the park, but couldn't quite catch it. Canha had to wait to see if he would indeed catch that ball, so only advanced to third base on the play, and then on the Ramos double, and then Encarnacion with a productive ground out to second base scores Canha, gave the Giants a 1 run closer to that 2-1 White Sox lead. So they cut that lead in half. Then Tyro with a 2-out single scores Elliot Ramos, ties the game up at 2 runs apiece. Tyro has been doing pretty good in his last couple games back from the injured list. It's been a small sample size, but he's been he looks healthy for the first time since like the very beginning of the season. And the Giants have dealt with a ton of injuries all season long. It's nice to see this guy start to come around. I last year's Willie Mack Award winner. I like Tyro a lot. I'm curious to see how he fits into next year's plans as well. The Giants are at a crossroads right now. They got all these young guys, all this young talent, and we're going to start seeing some exoduses of guys who've been here for a while. Maybe like Mike Yastrzemski, like a Tyro Estrada potentially. I mean, there's a lot of guys that we've become accustomed to seeing in these Giants uniforms that might not be back with this team next season. Tyro is for sure on that list as well, especially with his inconsistent play this year. He's been nice since he's been back from the injury report. And yes, I know he was injured for a large portion of the season, but an OPS that is sub 600 and a batting average that's sitting at 217 is not ideal. And I mean, he has a plus glove in the field, but the Giants have other young options that they can go to. If Brett Wisely, who found a black hole that he fell into in the batter's box the last couple of months, if Wisely's able to get it right down in AAA, maybe he's the guy who they go to at second base going forward. They have some options as to what they can do there. But for now, I mean, Tyro's still here, and he's playing pretty well at this point. Tied the game up there at 2 runs apiece. But then in the 9th inning, Logan Webb kept on rolling. We'll go over his day in detail a little bit later on in the show. But fast forward to the 9th inning, Bob Melvin turns to the bullpen when Logan Webb is absolutely rolling. And he's sitting there at 93 pitches. And I thought he absolutely should have gone out there for the 9th inning. And I'm hesitant to rip Bob, or I have been all season long, but I can't not do it in this case. I mean, this was the worst decision that Bob Melvin could have made. Not only does he pull Logan Webb from the game, but he doesn't even turn to his high leverage arms in this situation. And I mean, my guy, every single game is a playoff game for the Giants at this point. You have to win games like this one. You cannot be losing games in the 9th inning to the Chicago White Sox when they have 97 losses, and it's not even the end of August yet. Going to Eric Miller in this situation was the absolute wrong decision. And yes, in his last couple outings, he's been pretty solid. He's only given up 2 runs in his last 5 outings, in his last 5 appearances. They both came in a game against Atlanta where the Giants gave up 13 runs in total. So, I mean, maybe it was just a bad game, and I get why he had the confidence in Eric Miller, but that is not the guy that I want to see out there in that situation. I know that you probably had a couple guys unavailable. I'm sure that Ryan Walker was not ready to go today. I'm also guessing that Tyler Rogers was not ready to go today, but could have gone to Taylor Rogers for sure, who hasn't pitched in quite a while. Instead, they go to you also could have gone to Jordan Hicks, who didn't pitch yesterday either. Sean Jelly, I mean, I think that would have been even a better option than Eric Miller at this point. I mean, I'm not sure why they chose the 2 guys that they did. Maybe like the only lower leverage arm that you had in the bullpen to choose from was like Landon Roop. So I don't know why they are doing this in a tie game in the 9th inning of a game you have to win. Because going forward, we've talked about this a lot. The schedule gets a lot harder, and you've got to get the wins where you can. This was a very winnable game for the Giants. And honestly, I'm not going to say it's squarely on Bob Melvin, because the offense shares a lot of that blame too by failing to come through in these situational at-bats again. But Bob Melvin shoulders a lot of the blame for this one, for the Giants not being able to hold that 9th inning down. I think you absolutely have to leave Logan Webb in this game. The way that he's rolling, the type of guy that he is, Logan Webb wanted to go out for that last inning. We've seen him push towards an even past 100 pitches multiple times in his career. We've seen him do it this season. And yes, I know you don't want Logan Webb's arm to fall off of his body, but there's nothing that's happening to him right now that would make you think that you don't want to send him out there for the 9th. As I explained, he is in the midst of just dominant stretch of the season where he is mowing fools down left and right. And I think that you needed to let him keep doing his thing out there. He was so locked in. He gave you your best chance at that 9th inning. I mean, if your only relievers that were available were Bivens and Miller and maybe Landon Roop, then leave Logan Webb out there. I mean, I need Bob Melvin to start managing like the Giants' lives depend on it, because they do at this point in the season, unless we're just packing it in for next year already. And we just want to see how Eric Miller and Spencer Bivens do in these situations. And I wouldn't, I'm not completely opposed to that, but like, man, like, they're not mathematically eliminated yet. Let's keep trying to win some games and maybe like see what the kids have got a little bit later on. But right now, until this team is, I mean, dead, like completely mathematically eliminated from playoff contention, I need them to still go out there and try to win, because this move did not feel like they were trying everything they could to win this game. They even have an off day tomorrow as they travel up to Seattle. And I just don't understand why Logan Webb did not go out there for the ninth inning. I don't understand even further why, after Eric Miller got into trouble, you would go to Spencer Bivens. And Bivens has had a nice year, but man, these decisions in the ninth inning do not make any sense at all. And each decision compounded the problem and made it worse than it originally was. Bob Melvin had multiple points where, okay, we shouldn't have taken Webb out of the game. We left Miller in, or we brought Miller in. Let's not leave him out there after he loads the bases or after he gives up back-to-back walks. He's got a runner in scoring position. He's got the go-ahead run in scoring position. Let's go turn to the bullpen. And instead of waiting for him to give up a single and then thank God he got that strikeout against Sheets. Otherwise, that could have been game right there. I don't know why he turned to Bivens at that point of all guys. I mean, Taylor Rogers has had a very, very nice season this year. I mean, he's been phenomenal for the Giants. He's been pretty underrated, I think. And he, I mean, I just don't know why he wasn't the guy in this situation. Like, I'm just guessing. I mean, Hicks would have really been the choice if Rogers and Walker were both unavailable. But let's just say Hicks was unavailable for some reason too, even though he didn't pitch yesterday. I mean, that leaves you with Jelly, Miller, Bivens, Roop, and Rogers, Taylor Rogers. I think it's pretty clear who the best of the bunch is this season, and it's Taylor Rogers, and it's not close. So questionable decision-making from Bomel there. And it's, I mean, it doesn't look very good for a manager who kind of, I mean, managed his way out of a winning record last year with the San Diego Padres. And it wasn't just him. It was chemistry issues and all sorts of other things. But it's undeniable that Bob Melvin made some bad moves last season with the San Diego Padres. You don't end up with a roster that talented that underperforms that much by making the right decisions as the manager. And the Giants are kind of having a similar thing happen to them this year. It's not as egregious. There's no Juan Soto. There's no Manny Machado on this roster. But this roster is still much more talented than it looks, than the record reflects. I mean, with the loss, the Giants now sit at 65-64. It's still a game over 500. But I think this team is a lot better than just one game over 500. If you supposedly have the air quotes best pitching staff in baseball, as our favorite general manager, I've seen some people get upset that I'm referring to Farhan as the GM. I know he is the president of baseball operations, and I know Pete Patilla is the GM. Let's stop pretending like Pete Patilla actually functions as the GM, because we all know he does not. It is Farhan who makes all these decisions. So if I'm using the term GM and president of baseball operations interchangeably, because yes, I know that's not his actual job title, but let's call it how it is and say what this guy actually does. And what this guy actually does is the general manager for the San Francisco Giants. Probably has a little bit more influence than just that as well. But point being, if you have the best rotation in baseball, the best starting staff in all of baseball, as Farhan likes to tout the Giants having, maybe your record should be better than one game over 500, especially if you have all these, like high-end free agents, not high-end free agents, but you got Chapman in free agency, you got Soler in free agency, you had Ramos come up and make a splash, Fitzgerald came up and made a splash. What the hell's going on? I mean, is the rest of this team just not as good? Or are all these guys just underperforming? Or is Bob Melvin mismanaging this team? I really do think it is all of these, just at different levels. But lately, I mean, the Bob Melvin mistakes, like the mistakes in decision-making, have been glaring. And today, I think is the pinnacle of that. I don't think that anybody watching this game wanted Logan Webb to come out after 8 innings. I don't think Logan Webb himself thought that he was going to sit down in the ninth inning. I mean, every pitcher wants to keep going out there, especially guys like Logan Webb. But I think he truly thought like he was going out there for the ninth. I don't think he was thinking Eric Miller's coming in. It just blows my mind that they just sat down Logan Webb after he was rolling the way he was. And I mean, showed no signs of slowing down. I don't know why they turned away from him. An absolutely terrible decision by Bob Melvin. The top of the eighth inning, Webb was cruising 1-2-3 inning, got 3 groundouts. No problem. And in the top of the seventh, another 1-2-3 inning for Logan Webb. No problem. In the top of the sixth, it wasn't, it was, I guess, technically a 1-2-3 inning because he only faced 3 batters, but he did give up a single in that inning. Robert had singled and stolen second base before he tried to steal third, and Casale threw him out. But point being, top of the fifth, 1-2-3 inning for Webb. I mean, he hadn't given up a run in quite a while since the fourth inning. And this guy was not slowing down. As I said, only 1 hit after the fourth inning given up by Logan Webb. And he was at 93 pitches, and we've seen him go over that plenty of times, especially in games that are playoff type situations, which this one absolutely was for the Giants. I'm baffled. I'm truly baffled. I don't know why this decision was made. And I really hope that Bob Melvin addresses this in the postgame. I'm sure he will be asked about it. Let's take a quick break here on the Locked On Giants postcast. I do want to give Logan Webb some love because this guy pitched a dominant game. And then, of course, we'll look at this Giants' really terrible offensive production today. But first, on the other side, great start by Logan Webb. How'd he do it? And where's this Giants team go next? Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and I'm taking a look at this chat right now, and man, I'm seeing a lot of stuff in here, a lot of angry Giants fans. Someone's saying Miller needs to be DFA'd immediately. I'm not going with that. Eric Miller's pitched pretty well. He had a one bad inning. This bullpen has been pretty solid, like one of the best in the National League. I think the best ERA-wise in the National Leagues in the entire month of August. But as my guy Ridge, the very first comment of the show, this loss is 100% on Melvin. As I said earlier, I kind of agree with this. He definitely shoulders the majority of the blame for this, but the Giants offense had plenty of opportunities to put the Giants ahead in this one. But I agree. I mean, Bob Melvin should not have taken Logan Webb out of this game, completely mismanaged it. I'm seeing people saying the season is over. I mean, the offense is terrible. I mean, Mark says this offense sucks. I mean, this is just where the Giants are at right now. I mean, it is bad. This team has nothing going for it. I mean, they seem to be dead in the water. You're losing games in August to the Chicago White Sox. And this is unacceptable for a team that is fighting for their playoff lives. Remember, you're still looking up at the New York Mets, the Atlanta Braves, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the San Diego Padres. The Giants are now 4 games back. The Mets are just 2 games back. It's going to be tough for the Giants to climb back. And I mean, the Mets gain a game on the Giants because they beat the Orioles today, and the Giants can't even keep pace by beating the White Sox. And do you think the Giants are going to have to go to Baltimore to play the Orioles later this season? You think the Giants are going to win those games? Because I don't. And I mean, they were playing pretty well lately. I mean, they were riding a 3-game win streak coming in. And if they had won this game, I don't think my opinion on this would change. They're better record lately as of since they started playing like the A's and the Tigers and teams like that. It's a facade. Don't fall for it just because they're beating up on these sub 500 teams. Looking ahead at the rest of the schedule, I know I teased Logan Webb. We'll get to his day in a minute, but I just need to talk about this briefly. 27 of their remaining 33 games are against teams above 500. The Giants this year, 27-38 against teams that are above 500 this season. They've also been terrible on the road, just 27-36 in road games this season. That's a lot of 27s thrown out there. 27 of the remaining 33 games against teams above 500, 27-38 in games against teams above 500, and 27-36 in road games this season. So the Giants, they're going to be facing a lot of road teams that are pretty good. They have 18 remaining road games. All come against teams that are currently over 500. So the Giants will need to prove that they can both win on the road and beat good teams at the same time. Have they given you a reason to believe that they can do that? Because they haven't shown me that they can. I mean, this team, playoff teams rise to the occasion. This team lays down and dies. How many times have they had the chance to step on the neck of their opponent and finish off a sweep? This White Sox series, the Tigers series a couple weeks ago. I mean, this has been something that they have failed to do all season long. The Giants have 2 sweeps for the entire season. They've been swept 4 times. They've only swept their opponent twice. Both of those were the Colorado Rockies, which, as I've pointed out on this show before, the Giants have the vast majority of their wins, that the most wins they have against one team. It's not close. It's against the Colorado Rockies, and it's 10 wins over that one team. This team only has 64 wins this season, 65 wins, excuse me. So almost 1/6 of their wins have come against one really putrid, really awful team. And that's kind of who they are. They can beat the teams they're supposed to beat. They can beat teams under 500, but they can't beat good teams. And that's pretty much all that you got left to play coming up this season, this next month and a third-ish. You start Friday against the Mariners, and the Mariners are currently 1 game over 500. So that, maybe they do end up getting some road games against a team that's sub 500. If the Mariners lose today and the Giants win on Friday, then the Mariners would be under 500. So maybe that changes the Giants' fortune, but I don't think it does, man. This team, we're going to see them lose a lot of games over this last month of the season, and it's going to be in large part because of this offense. They cannot get it done in huge situations. It's not because of the pitching staff, because as we saw today, Logan Webb was dominant, and he was dominant. I mean, he's been so good these last 5 starts. Each one of them has given up less than 2 runs, and he's doing it back to old Logan Webb. He's throwing the changeup more or just as much as the fastball. He had started to use it a little less this season and was using that 2-seamer a little bit more. But now he's gone back to using that changeup a lot, and it's paid off. I mean, Logan Webb, his ability to get swings and misses with that pitch, to get low exit velocity contact. Today, he did see a little bit higher exit velo, an average exit velo from Webb at 90.4 miles an hour. So a little higher than we normally see from Logan Webb, but it worked out for him today. I mean, he was getting ground balls left and right, and he did rack up the strikeouts a little bit today. Logan Webb was really doing everything. This is Logan Webb at his best, doing everything that he can to pitch to contact, keep that pitching down, or that pitch count down, and get outs and efficiently, quickly. 8 innings of work, 5 hits, only 2 earned runs, and 6 strikeouts. Also 0 walks for Logan Webb on the day. His ERA is now down to 3.13 on the season. And I mean, it's so frustrating watching starts like this constantly get spoiled by the Giants. I mean, even in games over this stretch where he has won, like in that complete game shutout against the A's, the Giants won 1-0. In that game against the Nationals that he won, where he gave up 1 run, the Giants won 4-1. So, I mean, 4 runs, I feel like is a decent amount of run support, but anything less than that is not enough. It's just frankly not enough in today's baseball world. And it's evident when you look at the Giants record. When they score 4 or more runs, this team wins a lot of games. When they score 3 or less, they lose a lot of games. When they score 4 or more, they're 51-22 on the season. When they score 3 or fewer, they're just 14-41. So that tells me it doesn't matter how good your pitching is if your offense flat out sucks. This Giants offense right now flat out sucks. It seems like the only guy who's getting any kind of hard contact, at least today, was Elliot Ramos. He smashed one off he almost hit one out to dead center, and then he smashed one off the right field wall in the 9th inning. I will say, Ramos, that 9th inning nearly home run that he hit was on a high and away fastball, and he's been hitting that high fastball a lot better. So that is a good sign. If you're looking for something to glean from a really upsetting loss, that's the one thing I guess that you can take away, is that Ramos is starting to hit these he's starting to fix that hole in his swing where he couldn't hit that high fastball. Now he's not only slapping he slapped a single with one yesterday. Now this one, he drove it off the top of the bricks in right field. That's a good sign for Elliot Ramos. But the rest of this offense, man, I mean, they need, go find the defibrillator or something, because they need to be shocked back to life. This team is, so lifeless at the plate. We got to get into it on the other side, just how bad this Giants offense was today. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Tripoli Engel. We'll be right back. Today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections for a chance to win 100 times your money. With the finals over, the hoops action does not stop on PrizePicks. Women's basketball is still heating up with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make big names for themselves alongside greats like Breanna Stewart and A'ja Wilson. You could win up to 100 times your cash by watching them ball out. If you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week, from lowering select player stat projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. It's PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Tripoli Engel, and taking another look at the chat, Jesus says, pitch counts don't win ball games. That's for people who are afraid to win. And I kind of got to agree with this today. Bob Melvin managing to protect his guy's arm in a situation where you aren't really going to need to protect his arm, because he only got a month of season left if you don't win some damn baseball games. And you're really going to protect his arm by not letting him pitch in October at all at this rate. And so I just a terrible decision by Bob Melvin at the end of this game. But it didn't even need to get to that point. If the Giants had just scored even one more run, one more hit with runners in scoring position, they were able to collect 2 of them today. But 2 in 10 chances is not very good. We can all agree that this White Sox team is very bad, correct? Well, they went 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position today. So as bad as this White Sox lineup is, it was better than the Giants today. And there should be absolutely no situations where that is the case when you compare these 2 lineups. I know the Giants have been up and down at the plate all season long, but this is pathetic, man. This is straight up pathetic when you can't just scratch one more run across the board to give Logan Webb a chance for a win in this game, to give Bob Melvin a chance to make an easy choice and go with the high leverage arm right away in the 9th inning. You avoid all of this if this offense just hits the damn ball. The only guys with multiple hits in this game were Ramos and Canna. The only guys with hits at all in this game were Ramos, Canna, Estrada, and Schmidt. Giants only had 6 hits in this whole game. The Giants also doing the most to do the least. They and what I mean by that is they're trying to invent new ways to not score runs. Bottom third, Casey Schmidt, leadoff double. Giants can't score him. The White Sox, inversely, I mean, in the top of the fourth, they hit a leadoff double, and they don't get another hit after that in the inning, but they're still able to score that run from second base. The Giants just strike out in these situations. Way too many strikeouts again for this team. 12 strikeouts for the Giants and only one walk. I mean, when half your outs are coming by way of the strikeout, you're really shooting yourself in the foot. Like, make the other team make a play, put the ball in play, and give yourself the chance that something good might happen. Something good might go your way. I talk a lot about how the Giants end up on the wrong side of like these luck situations, but in baseball, a lot of the time you create your own luck. You force the opponent to make a play, and they're not going to do that every single time. There's going to be mistakes. Teams make errors. The Giants made an error today, but it's important that you put pressure on the other teams. It felt like the White Sox were just kind of on cruise control through a lot of this game. And if you're letting teams like the White Sox put it in cruise control, you aren't a playoff team. You're not. And that's where the Giants sit right now, having lost yet another series finale in a chance where they had a sweep against a really bad team. And yeah, you do win the series, and that's great and all. The Giants win the series 2-1. You're still above 500, but you need to win games like this if you want to make the playoffs. And that is the bar for this team this season. It was playoffs or the season's a failure. And right now, the season's looking like a failure. I don't know. I mean, maybe if they're close, Farhan gets to stay. Maybe, I don't know what the calculus is, and the Giants, ownership making that decision. I mean, we've heard them say before the whole break even comments, and I mean, we know that the Giants are at least breaking even with the amount of seats that they've been able to sell this year. I mean, top 10 in attendance pretty much all season long. So who knows? As far as the ownership's perspective, maybe they're okay with what Farhan's given them these last couple of years. I know from the fan perspective, we are absolutely not okay with the state of this team and where it's been at these last few years. So I don't know if I expect Farhan to be jettisoned if they don't make the playoffs. I don't know. I can't say that I can't definitively say if they don't make it, he's gone, because I don't know that. I think he should be. I think he should be. Does Charles Johnson think that? I don't know. I don't know. So it seems like they're probably cool with it, honestly. I mean, they did just give him an extension last offseason. I don't know if they're going to turn the tables that quick. Maybe they give him one more season, and that is the do or die season. But I think that if it gets to that point, the vitriol, the hate that we're going to hear from the fan base is going to be at an all-time high. And next year, it's going to look really, really, really bad if the Giants, aren't able to bring back guys like Blake Snell, guys like Matt Chapman. If those guys walk, next season could be really tough. Could also be a fun season next year if some of these younger guys take a step forward. I've said multiple times, I like Grant McCray a lot. Today, 0 for 3 at the dish with 3 strikeouts. The hat trick is not a good look for the young center fielder. But I got to address this. I've seen a few comments saying that McCray shouldn't, that I'm too high on him for just a couple games of a sample size. Let me tell you, he's got one thing that he's proven to us that I don't need to see him do it in the major leagues. I know this guy can steal bases because of the clip he did it at in the minors. That will directly translate. That is something this Giants team desperately needs, is a new way to an added dimension to put pressure on other teams offensively. You obviously suck at actually hitting the ball. So maybe you can manufacture some runs with some extra base stealers. I mean, look at what the Diamondbacks did last season. They went all the way to the World Series on base hits, like zero power and fast guys. That's what they did. So the Giants, I think, could use a little bit of that. He also brings a big plus glove to the outfield, and that matters. I love me some defense. That matters a lot. I think he'll get better at the dish. I mean, he's shown a little bit of pop. He had that one home run, but he's going to need to show that he can hit major league pitching if he wants to stay up here. I completely acknowledge that. We've had a very small sample size of him at the big league so far, at the big league level. But two things that I don't really need to see anymore from Grant McCray that I already know is a big plus from him is his glove and his speed. And those are two things that the rest of this Giants outfield does not bring you right now. I mean, yes, Jung-Hoo Lee has those things, but you can't sit there and tell me that Grant McCray's glove is not better than Mike Yastrzemski's or Michael Conforto's. You can't tell me that his speed is not better than Mike Yastrzemski's or Michael Conforto's, that his ability to steal bases isn't better than these guys. I think that it's time to move on. You also have the potential for Grant McCray to get better. Are Mike Yastrzemski and Michael Conforto still getting better at this point in their careers? I think the answer to that is no. I think it's time to move on. The old guard has been here for a while, and it is time to give the youth their chance. And it's interesting to see where Matos is going to fit in next year too. I liked this guy when he first came up. I think the Giants did him a big disservice by telling him that center field job was his and then sending him back down to the minors. I think that ruined his confidence. We did not see him look the same at any point for the rest of the season when he was with this big league squad. Curious to see how his mental set is going forward. And if he's able to break through onto this team next season, I do think right now the outfield for next year is Lee, McCray, and Ramos. And it's not just me who thinks that. Dave Fleming said this on the broadcast yesterday. So if you dislike my takes, I guess you dislike Dave Fleming's takes too. But that's all the time that we got for you guys today. Giants lose 6-2. Just absolutely waste a dominant Logan Webb performance. Bob Melvin with maybe the worst coaching decision that he's made all season long, going to Eric Miller in the 9th inning there and taking out Logan Webb. Comes back to bite him. Giants lose 6-2 to the White Sox, fail to complete the sweep. Off day tomorrow. We'll come to you live Friday as the Giants take on the Seattle Mariners, hit the road again, and it starts the start of a very tough stretch of the season for the Giants. That's all the time we got for you guys today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.